So this is my tent that I'm going to be using, the Big Agnes frying pan 2-person tent. I don't have the rainfly on it right now because inside the house the forecast is showing no rain. So we're going to dive into here. This does, I believe, have approximately an 80-inch length, which is one of the most primary reasons I chose this tent of any other. And it was also in a massive sale when I purchased it. So that certainly helped as well. But I'm tall, and this thing allows me to sleep without having to have my feet on the one side of the tent, or maybe my head's touching the other side. No, when I cinch this out with the rainfly, I have plenty of room. And inside I also have plenty of room for my gear. For my sleeping pad, I have an Big Agnes Aircore Ultra, and this is the extended version. It's 78 inches long, 25 inches in width, and as you can see, I do have a few inches either way as far as even more space in this tent. Here is my Big Agnes Anvil Horn 15 degree 650 down fill sleeping bag for the colder weather months. I will start with this bag and actually swap to a quilt once it gets a little warmer outside. This sleeping bag does have sort of a peculiar set of straps situated so that you can actually attach your sleeping pad to this, so you don't get to wiggling around and lose yourself on your pad. But I don't know if that's so necessary. I'm curious what people think, if they've maybe had experience with something before where they used it and maybe it was good. I'm actually curious if there's been people who may have cut that off to try to save weight, which I think is kind of silly. But I mean, it does weigh something, I guess, but I wouldn't want to ruin the bag that way. Nonetheless, I'm just curious if anybody else has seen something like this, because I have not. Well, I am in my 15-degree sleeping bag, not even zipped up, and it's already getting warm just because I got my feet in the little toe box here. But pretty comfy. I do like it. I haven't actually slept a full night in this one yet, but I have slept many times on the sleeping pad in this tent with my quilt when it wasn't as cold. So I'm hoping this thing's going to keep me nice and warm. It already is actually right now. But of course, one of the biggest struggles that I had as a larger hiker is that, of course, I needed larger gear. So I was conveniently at REI once, and there was a Big Agnes rep who was there, kind of overheard my struggle to find a sleeping bag that was going to be able to fit me, and of course work in a budget that wasn't going to be ridiculous. So he actually suggested this one, and I'm going to say props to him for knowing his product, because I think I actually ended up getting the extra long and extra wide. I think there was actually an option for that as well, and that just allows me to have a little more wiggle room in here. And actually, I know, of course, during the colder months, you want to sleep with a lot of your electric gear. You know, anything that you have that is electrical, you need to have that somewhere where it's going to stay warm. Your sort of squeeze needs to stay warm so it doesn't freeze up and break. So I actually thought it was really kind of interesting here. I opened up this bag and I hadn't noticed before, but there's actually a little spot for my phone. It's like a little pocket. So I thought that was hilarious. Of course, you know, we're out in nature, but I got a pocket for my phone on my sleeping bag. Again, just to kind of highlight the struggle here. So I'm sitting in my tent on my sleeping bag, and while I am sitting up straight, my head actually is hitting my, I guess, the bug netting of this tent. So of course, it's not actually going to be touching the rainfly. That's going to be a couple inches separated here, but maybe a little annoying if I had a hat on or something that kind of rubbing around, or there's a lot of these little things here where you can, you know, put some string up and maybe hang something to try to dry overnight or something. I heard that's really not the case. You really want to use the sun to dry stuff, not the wind, not to mention what kind of wind you're going to be able to get in the tent, certainly if you have the rain fly up. But, you know, hey, maybe something, but I need the space, and this is good enough space for me. So this is going to be home for 6 months, or at least the days that I'm out on trail and not in hostel. So I'm comfortable and I like it. I think while it is a 2-person tent technically, and if God forbid if something happened and somebody needed to, you know, share my tent with me, I think it would work for a night or two if, you know, something bad happened and somebody needed help. But really, yeah, this is my 1-person tent. Here is my REI Co-op Magma Trail Quilt. This is rated at 30 degrees and is the longer version. I understand that this is a premium product of REI, and of course that comes with a premium price. However, understanding that I'm going to be using this about 80% of the time on trail, I realized that I wanted to get something that was going to be well worth it. And this is very comfortable. I have had probably 2 or 3 nights that it was pretty cold in this, 2 nights that it was under 35 degrees. I still got good sleep those nights. And so I'm really impressed with this one. I do want to say that while predominantly my big 3 items are Big Agnes and the rest are REI products, I will say that I purchased all of my own gear. Nothing was given free to me. And this is not a paid endorsement for those products. This is my discovery to see what works on the trail for me. And also hopefully at the end to decide on what actually worked and what maybe I would have liked to do different, or what I did do different that I got out on the trail. So stay tuned for that. So one great reason for having this tent is it is freestanding, which means I can pick it up and move it wherever I need. In case I set myself up with a root underneath, I can just move it out, put it in a new position or somewhere else, and then maybe that'll be a better spot. Also, what I've kind of thought about is the fact that I can set this up even with the rainfly on and carry this out in a fashion that if it's raining, if I need to potentially use a shelter to be able to put my tent together, or even start to put my tent together, that way I'm not getting rained on as much. And then I can take this out into the rain, set it down. Inside's already dry. It's been dry because the rainfly will be on. And that'll just help me out to be dry on the trail, hopefully. Lastly, on my big 3 items is my pack. My REI Co-op Traverse 70-liter pack with a 10-liter brain, which I plan on bringing the brain with and utilizing all of that space as well. You can see I have my #1 fan, Marley, checking it out. She, unfortunately, will not be going with me on the trail, though she totally wants to. I totally had a conversation with her, and I had to talk her down from it because I don't want to have her carry her own food. She's so small. She wouldn't even be able to carry but 1 or 2 cans of food with her, and that would be it. Not to mention she's a cat, so that wouldn't work. So there are a couple of things that I like about this pack. One, again, a highlight of these gear items that I have is that it fits me. It's a large pack, and it's very comfortable. The hip belt, you know, when everything's all cinched down and everything's good to go, 40 pounds in this pack, easily doable, not a problem. I loaded down on water and everything, and really actually this was very comfortable even at a 40-pound pack weight total with water and food. The front here, or excuse me, I guess the back actually, you'll notice that I have this string here. What this actually is for is I actually loop my Crocs, my camp shoes, with this, loop it through instead of actually attaching onto the straps, because I've seen where people have broke those straps. So what I'll do actually is loop this through both shoes and then clip it to the carabiner here. So that way the 2 shoes are just basically hanging out right in the middle of the back of the pack there. And then I'll have my Z seat also connected to this. So Z seat on the side, shoes right in the middle, also just conveniently in the middle so that it makes it easier to utilize the pack. Now, one thing that I did not notice when I bought this pack was that it actually comes with its own area for a camel bag. So I've got in here, right in here is, well, I've got a cozy in here for cooking food. It's a little homemade cozy that I've got. But more importantly, I've got a water pouch in here that I can use, and it actually strings through. You can see the line. It strings right through the bag itself. There's two little spots here. And what this does, it just allows me to be able to get water throughout the day. Typically what I'll do is I'll fill up the pouch with water and drink that slowly as I hike, as I get my mouth dry. Maybe I just went up a big hill and I need just a little sip. I'll drink water like that. When I take breaks, that's when I'll drink half a liter of water, and then refill primarily at a water spot as well. And so then again, on my shoulder strap here is a nice little spot to connect that. Keeps it out of the way. I have my hand sanitizer on the opposite side. And I believe I'll more than likely have on one of these will be my Garmin InReach. And that way I'll be able to keep in touch with family and friends or hit that SOS button, God forbid. So yeah, I like this pack. It's got everything that I need as far as the different nuances of a pack. It's, huge inside, obviously 70 liters, but I also utilize this back pouch here for a lot of the gear that's going to get wet. For instance, my tent poles primarily and my tent footprint hang out in this back pouch here. First, easy items for me to grab when I'm establishing camp at night. That will just put me one step closer to keeping things as dry as possible inside here that I want to be dry, like my clothes, for instance. So this is what I'm going to use. I'm not a fan of these little pouches back here. Sometimes the zippers are a little tough to get going, but this is my pack. This is my big 3 items on the trail. My northbound Appalachian Trail 2020 through hike begins in, I believe I'm at 48 or 47 days away from today. So stay tuned.